This is Chuck from the marketing team at Solston, and I'm going to show you how to develop customer personas that actually work in 5 steps using our product, Alaris. Alaris is the first psychologically intelligent AI for personalized content creation. It uses our psychological database representing 3.4 billion people globally with data on hundreds of thousands of brands and interests in media properties to create resonant content really fast. So let's get started. In this example, I'm going to create personas for our Netflix audience and use them to market role-play games. But you can create personas for any brand and market any product to them using Alaris. Alaris is free to try, so sign up our website. The first step is to identify the psychological profiles in the target audience. We're going to use this prompt to do that. You can see that Alaris quickly identifies 6 psychological segments in the Netflix audience. It tells you the motivations, values, and decision-making for each of them. It also tells you how they differ from demographics. The next step is to understand their deep motivations and values. We'll use this prompt to do that. You can see that for each psychological segment, Alaris identifies the core motivations and values. And it also tells you what typical personas miss. The next step is to map their traits to behaviors. We'll use this prompt to do that. You can see this is where we introduce the concept of relating behaviors specifically to role-play games. So Alaris will then show you how psychological traits influence role-play game behaviors, specific to this Netflix audience we're looking at. It tells you predictive patterns, the psychological traits that will influence RPG actions. It also tells you what typical personas miss. The next step is to connect these insights to applications. We're going to use this prompt to do that. So Alaris then tells us practical marketing implications by psychological persona. It tells you messaging, channels, creative elements, and why it shows these things. This is for each psychological segment. And it gives you a summary table at the end, so you can get a nice overview of what is delivered. The final step is to validate this against real data. So we're going to use this prompt to do that. You can see the prompt I used was what behavioral signals would confirm that these psychological personas accurately represent real segments within this audience, and how can we validate their predictive power? So it tells you the behavioral signals for validation for each psychological segment, the signals and the validation. So you can test these personas and tells you how you would do that, how to validate predictive power. It also gives you some next steps you can take. So Alaris is free to try, so try this workflow with your own brand, and let me know how it goes in the comments.